been killing all these suckers where they at, man. Seeing through your cap, cause my vision is a CAT scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man. So I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. Call me Captain.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Kase Core Podcast. It's your boy Kase, the realest basketball fan alive, and I'm live from Las Vegas, Nevada, West Side. Thank you for tuning in. This is season 3, episode 4, and I'm here with your boy JB in Indiana. What's going on? How's the weather out there, man?
Dude, it is cold as hell. It is cold as hell. It's literally, I think, 4 degrees outside right now. It's nuts. But I appreciate being on here. This is fun, man. Getting to talk basketball and fantasy basketball. That's what's up.
For sure. Thank God we on the West Coast. And we also got your boy Mitch out in California. What's good, man?
What's up? Proud to be here. Proud to be a part of the association. And it's pretty cool to hang out with you guys and finally talk to you.
For sure. Appreciate that. So, just a quick background. We give detailed analysis of NBA rosters as we cover our fantasy basketball network called the Association. We got members from all parts of the world, all using real life salaries outside of the first one because, once you go cap, you don't go back. You feel me? All right. So, today's topics, we got the FBI World Cup playoffs championship round starting. We're going to talk about updates on the court. We're going to talk about updates on NAAA. And then we're going to introduce something new to this episode because Mitch has been bugging me about Kuminga. So we're going to negotiate live a trade for Jonathan Kuminga in the court. So you guys ready to get in all this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, bet. So starting off with the FBI World Cup. So currently we just wrapped up the division round. So we have our division champions. So fortunately we got Mitch, who's one of the division champions. He's here with us right now. So can you talk to us about real briefly about, I guess, your playoff run in your division and just what transpired in your last matchup?
Yeah, of course. So I just want to start off with I was the 5th seed in the Atlanta division, and at first, I didn't really like my placement. I was playing a guy who was really hot. He had Luka, LaMelo, and Cade, pretty nasty trio, and I lost to him previously in the regular season. So with that being said, it was a tough battle. I had KD, I had Trey. Really, really love my team. A lot of efficient free throw shooters, 3-point shooters. And that's something that I like to build around. It's a lot easier for waiver pickups versus, I know you built your team around Giannis, so you had to look for specific punt builds, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to talk about my team right now. Let's focus on the winners.
Okay, for sure. So yeah, in second round, I faced the number 1 seed. I beat him previously before. It wasn't too much of a stress, I think, ideally, I had a very great matchup against him. He had more of a volume type of build, so I beat him with efficiency. So those contrasting teams that you match up with, sometimes it really benefits you in a certain way. So I think if he faced anyone else, he probably would have won. So going into the next round, my opponent, he was pretty injured. He had a lot of guys who only had 2 games. So think Rashawn Holmes. He had like a Rockets player. I think it was Christian Wood or something. And I pretty much went pretty smooth, probably better than my first 2 matchups. So here I am now, but it came at a cost. I wasn't able to have Seth Curry yet. I don't have Brandon Ingram yet. I lost KD in the second round.
Crucial.
Yeah, definitely. I'm struggling right now, man. So at the end of the day, I'm the 13th seed in the championship rounds. I don't.
That's out of 16, right? 13 out of 16.
Yeah, 13 out of 16. Right now, I'm getting my ass kicked. I don't expect to go far. I'm going to leave that to Rish. I think he's going to go pretty far. I like his matchup right now. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the seedings too, from either me and Rish's side. So right now, I'm the 13th seed in the championship rounds, and he had the regular, or I have the regular season rank of 86, and Rish is right next to me, 14th seed, and regular season rank of 88. So pretty identical. Going forward, I definitely think he has a shot. Like I like his matchup. Other than that, that's all I have to say. But I do want to give a shout out to Blazers. You know, he pretty much helped me build my team throughout. We were in constant messages. I know he has that Basketball Monster subscription or something, and he was giving me all these shout outs and like who to draft in the later rounds. It's like think Tyrese Maxey, Miles Bridges, Seth Curry, Monty Morris, all those guys. Yeah.
Shout out to Blazers. He be holding it down. But yeah, this is I guess it's just interesting to hear about you know this is the first round of that championship, I guess, playoff bracket. So it's cool to hear that, you know, the reseeding of all the teams. I mean, do you have an idea of how they did the reseeding? Is it based on the original seeding, or did they do any kind of I guess analysis on any other outcome?
So they did reseeding based off regular season rankings. There are a lot
Sounds
of
good.
upsets, yeah.
Okay.
So the highest regular season rank was 14. So
I remember that the top none of the top 13 teams made it into the final round. Which shows you, man. That seeding um could be overrated. You know what I'm saying? Because when it comes to fantasy basketball, all that matters is get your team into the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we all deal with these injuries and stuff like that. And you never know. There could be a team that slides to like ninth or eighth that should belong as like probably the third seed, but they're just struggling with injury. So the key to fantasy basketball is just get into the playoffs. And like you were just saying in the first round, how that team would have probably obliterated any other team, but it was just you know, theme of, you know, matchups make the fight, right? So you ended up just getting lucky to get that matchup, right? So that's the key about fantasy. Like keep your eyes on what's important, you know, which is making the playoffs, and then you could deal with problems after that. So
It's
yeah,
true. We'll get to it when you get to the court, but like as long as you're in there, it turns into a game of like who's the healthiest and who's got 4 games in a week and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't really make it. It's not as big of a difference if you're at least close in talent.
yeah, I want to piggyback on what JB's saying. So there's actually specific rules for the championship round, and a lot of it, you know, determines on the health of your players. So, Case, I'm sure you're aware, but in the championship rounds, you're not allowed to have any weekly pickups anymore. Since I guess we share players on Fantrax, it kind of, I don't know the system or, you know, the work around it, but the rosters stick throughout the whole 4 weeks or throughout the whole 4 matchups of the championship round. So a lot of your success pretty much is whoever is the healthiest.
definitely. So pretty much what he's explaining is that in the setup, these 16 divisions are pretty much 12 separate leagues. So at the end of the day, the champions are going to share some players. So we there's no way to have a waiver wire or free agency of who to pick up on who's available. You know, so I did see someone say something interesting, and they asked, are we allowed to pick up waiver players from our own league? Which kind of makes sense, but I don't know, man. Like your division mates might drop some players to you on the low. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, now that I think about it, I mean, if you know you're about to lose, that might be a little sneaky thing you could do for your league mate. Just drop them on the low. But I don't know. I don't want to spread, you know, non-integrity, whatever that word is. vibes out there. So even though my
Yeah,
mind
that would
is
definitely
kind of
open up to some collusion, though, for sure. You're
yeah,
not wrong.
definitely. I mean, but I think that's why like I usually make for like a good commissioner because like my mind really goes there to like all the tricks. So like when someone does something, I'm like, come on, I thought of that. You know what I'm saying?
You're trying that? Is that why? Because you're trying it out?
I mean, I don't know, but my whole thing is that it is these things are all controlled by algorithms, so there's these small loopholes that you really have to hash out through the league to know what's going to be policed and what's not going to be policed, so that when somebody tries something, it's not like a debate that happens in that moment. Like we already know what to do, like what action to take and all that, like if there's any penalty or anything like that. So that's another topic. So I mean, so yeah, like JB was saying, let's actually migrate into the bubble, right? So um, when we look at the bubble standings, let me close. When we look at the standings right here, let me pull that up. Okay, so I mean, in my estimation, I think there's a clear top five, maybe 7 teams, and the top five is Skyhawks, Red Claws, OKC Blues, uh, Motor City Cruise, and Long Island Nets. But I say 7-ish because I think Erie Bayhawks, Mexico City Capitans could also kind of jump into that tier if things go right for them. And then the next tier, I see a next tier of 5 teams that can make the playoffs interesting if their teams kind of get hot, which are, I mean, it's right there in the standings. The Seattle Supersonics, Squadron, Blue Coats, or the Sky Force, and the Stockton Kings, right? I mean, how do you see the top, I guess, playoff seeding, JB, since you're in the thick of it?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some tiers here. I think there's like a top 3, and then there's like me and Braxton hanging out in the second tier, and then I would put Bayhawks is in there. And to be honest, they're my team that I'm like that's fallen a little bit down, but I'm scared of. Like that could easily win this whole entire league if the matchup worked out right and their team stayed healthy. Because I think their build's really nice, and it like selfishly the build is exactly the same build as mine. So it's just like if I would go against them, it's a showdown of whoever's players are better, are playing better. Because like Rozier, Trey Young, Chris Middleton, DeMar, like DeMar's I think going to go off without Lonzo later. I think that's like a hell of a top 4 combo right there.
You know what I noticed when I played on OKC Blue, that because he said something that was interesting. He said because I beat him 5-4, but he said
Nice.
he said these punt field goals teams are my kryptonite, and I realized I'm like, yo, these are the hardest matchups because if you look at it, all the top teams, most of them are punt field goals. So that's like an interesting I don't know scenario to see play out and to see who could possibly take advantage of that. So
like Bayhawks, OKC, and I are all like that. Like even Adrian's team is kind of a punt field goal. So it's like down to health and whoever's players are playing better. Because if you can't at least like have your own categories of punting line up right, then it's a coin flip a little bit.
Y'all gonna make me switch up my whole build next season.
And maybe. Oh, the other thing though, I know we were talking about this before we started, but I think the Skyhawks are overrated personally. I mean, I think Mutombo, my boy Mutombo, got lucky in the playoffs, which is what you need, right? But also, like looking at his team, this team started off the year on fire. Like every single player on fire. Cole Anthony, John Morant, Oubre, like every single player. Even Kevin Love had his moment. Schroeder had his moment. Like every single player was like firing to start the year. And so I'm just sitting there looking at it. I'm like, there's got to be a little bit of like regression to the mean. I think Morant can sustain it for sure. He's a star. Jokic, obviously, he is who he is. But like Cole Anthony, you've already started to see it the last like few weeks. Like he's good, and I think he's shown he is better than anybody thought he was. But I don't think he's as good as what his stats are showing so far. You know what I mean?
To me, the thing that could probably get in the way of Cole Anthony is like Orlando drafting point guards on top of him, or like Markelle Fultz returning. Otherwise, like if he keeps this role, I think. I mean, even though it was on fire, I think that's a flash of like what the peak of his career could be, at least. So
yeah. That's fair.
But you do make an interesting point about how Kelly Oubre was on fire.
He was on fire for a minute, right? And even K Love had like a few weeks where he was just like putting up 20 and 7. I feel like every single night.
I mean, but Kevin Love is actually a bounce back player, so I don't know if that's just on fire or he's just a valued guy right now. Like he's returning from the dust, and then I guess
he's lucky that Cleveland is like in the playoff mix. That's what he is, because if they weren't, his ass would be on the bench.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like okay, in fantasy, whenever you have Jokic, that's just a crazy advantage. That's like when Harden was in his prime, like the Rocket Harden. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just too hard to beat those teams if they were built well, right? So. I mean that's one hill you got to climb when you face this team, and then when you look at Ja Morant, like I think the fire that he's on is also like potential of what he could be. But I feel you with like Kelly Oubre, like he was on fire, but like I mean I think a big thing with that is his role. So based on his role, he shouldn't be giving you that production. And same thing with but I see your point though. Like all these guys did start hot.
Yeah, and when I'm looking at like playoff matchups, I'm looking for like how the teams that scare me the most are the ones that are kind of like the most consistent, right? The ones that have like streaky players. I'm like, hey, I can take advantage of that. They can have a down week. Someone can upset them at the right time if they play them at the right time, right? The teams that scare me the most are the ones that kind of have like a top 4, 5, or 6 that are all pretty consistent and are always there every single week, because those are the guys that you can't take a week off, but like. Oubre can definitely put up a bad week, and Cole Anthony, if he's like cold, can put up a bad week. And PJ Washington, his role is a little less. So like if all that shit starts to line up the same week, you can definitely get it. But I'm also like, let's be real, I'm nitpicking the number 1 team in the league that just won the championship. That's already the top of the standings, right?
No. He's doing what you expect Adrian's team to do. Right.
Yeah. True.
So I get your point.
I'm nitpicking here, you know what I mean? But yeah.
No. I feel you. Just based on his performance, you just looking at his team like, woo, like I guess it's probably a shout out of like this is impressive, like what his team is doing. But,
that's true.
Like I guess on the flip side, if it's negative, if you say you think it's overrated, okay, I could see that.
I think the other team in the mix, I think your team, to be honest, Case, is one of those I look at and I'm just like, how is it that good? Like, how is it in 8th place?
I love it.
I don't get it. Yeah, I know. I'm like, I just don't. It doesn't add up in my brain. But it just like consistently is there, and it's consistently like in a competitive matchup with somebody. I'm just like, all right, that's a team I'm not registering, but it's always in it.
Do you know why? Like, I have a lot of guys that perform that people don't like, right? so like Barton would be feeling the stat sheet. He'd be feeling the stat sheet, and they're like,
yeah, true.
I mean, but the thing that's leading it all is like Porzingis. Like, if he's healthy, that's what keeps me competitive with like almost anybody, because I can kind of just look at any matchup and see what stats, which way the stats are going, and that's the thing is like I don't have like my value isn't concentrated on like a few guys. It's all spread out, and they all do all these different things. So like on like a Wednesday when all these guys play, I can kind of pick what stats I want to attack on the stat sheet, so that's what this squad kind of gives me. But I feel you. I mean, I don't know. This is something we were talking about in the mod chat about the minor positions and how how Mutombo was making the point that we should make them just make them roster spots instead of minor spots, right? but that's something I've been taking advantage of though, is that I have a lot of minor players, so it's almost like I have extra players going along. So
Yeah, and you can get like some extra games in a week if you start cycling through them. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So that's just managing your salary and just making draft picks where it's like these guys just aren't sitting. They're actually playing. So.
Yeah, that's true. And the other team I think that's like sitting there too is that I don't know how to judge really is Elton's team. And it like pains me to give Elton some credit, but like his squad with Joe Harris and TJ Warren on the bench, I'm just sitting there like, what could they do? What could they add to his team that are they going to be good? Are they going to be rusty? Like what? They're just like big wild cards, I think, coming back from injury.
I mean, in 30-team leagues, like TJ Warren and Joe Harris are quite valued.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't sleep on that. I think a
scores
big part
that don't kill your field goal percentage. Those are big.
I think a big part of his success did kind of lead on Daniel Gafford and the kind of season he started with too, and just how well his game fits in with Embiid. So like him and Embiid, he probably won blocks every single week, especially with Tybalt too. So like he was probably good in like field goal percentage, rebound, blocks. So he low-key has like a build that kind of goes against the grain, which is what I'm talking about. It's like, hey, maybe I might want to flip into something like that. Since all y'all want to punt field goals. Kind
of have to in a way, I guess.
Yeah, and to me, like I guess the team that I wanted to shout out was the Iowa Wolves. I mean, I remember the past week I've just been going up and down the standings, just looking for trades and whatnot, and I was just shocked to see where Iowa Wolves was sitting. I was like, oh, he's at 13th. Like I remember a couple weeks ago when I was looking for trades, he was sitting around 17th, 18th, and I was wondering, oh, he probably won't make the playoffs. But I mean, to see him climb into the playoff spot like that, and to see him keep on hanging like that's impressive. I mean, even though you got Giannis, when you got Giannis in a 30-team league, that's like overkill.
He still has Dame out too.
Yeah, Dame is hurt, but now looking at his team, it's not that bad, I guess, with Christian Wood,
KPJ. Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about Iowa Wolves, the only thing that confused me a little bit is why would you pair up Giannis with Dame? Like
right.
They're kind of like two players that go against each other in terms of like builds. If you're trying to punt something, but hey, more power to him. Like he's probably gonna beat me because Dame's gonna come back or something and get hot. But who knows?
I don't know, man. Maybe that might be a strategy to explore in 30-team leagues, just because like there's something I just noticed in 30-team leagues where it's like punting is important still, but it's not as important to punt as hard. Like in fact, like I think in 30 leagues, when you over punt, you can end up just hurting yourself in the long run. Like you really because there's a lot of matchups where it's like, yo, like I'm punting this, but like so many teams are weak in this. So like that's kind of I guess my strategy that I'm using with my Supersonics, where it's like I have just these guys that I mean they're all relatively punt field goals, but they all do all these different things because at first my team was a punt assist, but I have all these guys that can give assists. So it's like, I mean, if you're a team that's weak in assists, all right, bam, I'm throwing in Eric Bledsoe. I mean, yeah, I'm throwing in like Eric Bledsoe, Joe Ingles, Will Barton, like these guys that just give like 3-4 assists. You know what I'm saying? And or like Lonnie Walker, like I got Patrick Beverly too. So it's like those teams that are weak in assists, I could take advantage. So I think that's something that I've noticed in 30-team leagues. But I guess moving along to I guess the Takers.
One other team real quick is like I think Lakeland Magic is sitting there right at 17 with KD potentially coming back that could do something. Like if he comes back with Luka, Jalen Suggs, because Jalen Suggs is kind of like getting his groove gone, right? And I think that team could definitely make some noise. But if they make the playoffs, they're on the border right now.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. I don't know whether he was expecting to at a certain point, but I mean, yeah, he's right there. He's literally right there. And like he also got like Şengün, who's like those prime like second half breakout players. So
yeah, exactly.
See how that plays out. And then I guess we could talk about the tankers real quick. Teams. Was that the Thunderbirds, Windy City Bulls, Warriors? I don't know. I haven't paid too much attention to the tanking in here. Like, did you?
The only time I ever pay attention to it is when T. Choi hits me up for a trade. That's it.
I get it. I guess the one thing is, I don't know. I thought when I looked at this earlier in the season, I thought Memphis Hustle was lower than this. So that's probably one thing I might be noticing is that Memphis Hustle may have lost a prime position in this tanking. But I mean, you still got a couple weeks to go. So sure. But yeah, let's move on to the court, right? The court. So I guess we're still here with JB. Sit there, sit warm, Mitch. We're gonna get back to you. All right.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Sure. But you're involved in this because you're in the court, so you know. So
you can chime in on this one for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, so JB, I guess we're gonna do a recap of last year since you're finally on this show. So I guess last year because you lost in the finals by about like 5 field goal percentage or something like that. So I'm gonna give a rundown. Like you started as a low seed of 14. You beat, which is surprising based on what the team that you had. Like I didn't even realize that you were the 14th seed. But you beat 2 juggernauts in the Kings, who everyone was been scared of since the beginning of time, and OKC.
That was Russell Westbrook, man. Russ got hot at the right time, right? That was that Wizards playoff run. Russell Westbrook right there, man.
Let's go.
Like he carried me through that Chuck matchup. Like no joke. He had like 2 triple doubles. Like one was like a 20-17-17 sort of thing or something like that. Like,
I remember those.
He was going crazy.
I remember those.
Yeah.
And then you beat and that's how you beat OKC, huh? That's how you beat OKC.
Exactly.
Huh? Wow.
And for real, OKC was hurt though, but that's kind of what you get when you go Kyrie and Porzingis, you know? Like,
yeah, you take that risk. I mean, I play like that too. So
you do, you had them both or something like that.
Yeah,
and we're at that point where we have to kind of question Justin's build. Like he has great talent, but are they ever going to be all healthy at once?
That's fair. I mean, legit fair.
Yeah, but that's something I learned last year too, because last year I started the bubble with Porzingis, KD, and Markkanen. So that was like a injury-prone trio where it's like when they were all healthy, I was able to like even beat like the best teams, but they weren't healthy long enough for me to even make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what's unfolding with Justin right now.
That's what happens, man.
Yeah,
those are kind of the dudes that are on my like do not trade for, do not have on my team list.
Okay, yeah.
I can't do the injured players. I just seen it bite too many people.
To me, I mean, because I'm still a big fan of buying low on guys. So like those injured players are like one of the what is the secret codes to buying low on somebody, right? So I like getting those injured players, but the key is not to have too many of them. Just like grab you a nice, strong, healthy team, especially early, and then just take 1 or 2 gambles on injured guys, you know, and see how that plays out.
One shout out, the toughest matchup, I was looking back at it, was actually Keaton in the second round. I won it by 3 field goal percentages. Yeah,
I missed
3.
that one. I missed that.
And looking back at it, I remember I was watching, it was when Steph was going crazy last year too. And it was a Sunday night game. Steph was playing on Sunday night, and I was watching, and it was like shot for shot. If he made it, he was up a category. If he missed, it was down, and I was winning. It was like back and forth.
I love those. I love those.
Yeah. So like he was like inches, from beating me and then moving on. So I felt lucky as hell for my run, to be honest. Like,
Oh, that's the playoffs though. We talking playoffs? Playoffs?
I got beat by excuse my language. I got beat by Kyrie Thomas, man. Z had Kyrie Thomas go off on me.
I remember that.
Kyrie Thomas, man. What is it? Like, as soon as I saw that, and he was like dropping 30 points and like double-digit assists, like that's how I'm gonna lose in the championship. Is this dude's not even in the NBA anymore? Like,
but those are lessons you learn in fantasy, man. Like, keep your eyes on the tankers. Keep your eyes on them tankers, because you know how this COVID season just hit, and guys were like waiver wire, like guys from the waiver wires were winning weeks. Like if you if you had the room to pick up guys off the waiver, they're winning you weeks throughout this COVID stuff. So that's just a similar thing with the Kyrie Thomas. He was just woke. You were asleep one night, and he was in the Philippines, probably in the office with the game on, and then he saw Kyrie Thomas. Oh, the waiver's about to process. He probably picked him up, So I don't know.
For sure.
That's the interesting thing about the global aspect too, is to think about something like that too. Is like when you were sleeping, he was awake, probably adding Kyrie Thomas.
That's what it was. But no, it was good. I felt lucky, and it was cool to be in a championship of the 13 league. Like, to be real, especially I was super salty the year before, like the bubble year, because I made that huge trade. I cashed in Siakam and Holmes, Russ and DeMar and Bledsoe, like all these win now old as fuck, old as hell guys. It was with you. That's right. God. And then they shut down the league. I'm like, oh, no way. It was like 3 weeks later, they shut down the league. It's like, oh my God.
Yo, that was funny because you were like second seed, right?
I was second. I was second to Chuck.
Yeah, you were like the second seed, and I think I was like 7th or 8th or somewhere in the middle or something like that. So we did this huge trade where you went all the way win now. I gave you all these old guys, Westbrook, DeRozan, whatever I
was in there.
Yeah, all that. But
Steven Adams or something.
Yeah, Steven Adams, and then you gave me back like Siakam, Kemba, and all that. But that's the thing though. You got away from Kemba. You got away from Kemba pretty like right on time. And you got to use Siakam through that. What is it? That first or second NBA season. So and then even though you have the old guys when the season shut down, I know that hurt to have the older guys. Right? But they won the champion. I mean, they didn't, but they almost won you the championship the following season. So that trade definitely paid off for you because
and that's the only reason why I still have Russ right now. Is because I'm just like, dude could go off.
Because look at me now. I'm rebuilding. I'm the 30th seed because of that trade. If I didn't make that trade, I'll probably be in the playoff contention trying to fight. So that's a. So yeah, you definitely that trade paid off.
Phenomenal. Your tank is phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah, thanks, man, for sure. Appreciate that. So yeah, speaking of for sure. I guess speaking of tank, I guess we can migrate to this season, and I guess before we talk about the tank, JB, I know you're currently 8th. Quickly, any teams that you're worried about in the top?
Yeah, I mean, Chuck's team's still insane, right? I think Jenner's team, the Pacers, are low-key the one that I'm like eyeing is something to worry about. I think after that, I think it's Mavs and Timberwolves, Suns, and Hawks all right there. So it's all pretty close. I think the court is deeper than the bubble, to be honest. I think there's like more teams that have legit shots at the championship in the court.
Okay, are the Hawks overrated here?
I'm gonna say yes, absolutely. Survey says absolutely. You got Cole Anthony again in this league.
No, that's funny.
I like his team actually. His team's nice in both leagues. I think this team is going to be better set up for next year's Hawks team with Isaac coming back and stuff. So
No, I mean honestly, I've just been impressed with what he's been able to do. Like, just based off of where he started, like last season with the tanking.
Mhm.
Wait, did he tank? I don't think did he tank the first season? I can't. No, he didn't tank the first season. He was injured, and I think he barely missed the playoffs or something like that.
yeah.
But overall, like he's been chilling at that 16, 17 spot most of the time, and then for him to like pop up and be like first for like the first half of the season, and I know he's sliding down to like fourth, but you know, that's been impressive for that output. But it's funny for you to it's funny to hear your perspective to shit on it and say he's overrated.
He's my boy. I'll talk shit all day. Yeah,
I know. I feel it.
Sure.
I feel it. I mean,
I do give him props though, because it's a different perspective than like a lot of like people who trade constantly to get value. Like Mutombo, he has his dudes. He believes in his dudes, and they fucking performed. You know, like,
and he'd be right. It's crazy how right he be, because I remember the first episode of this podcast. Right, he was naming like these sleepers or like these most improved, and like me and Brax were like, "Come on, no way! Like, are you serious? like you're just naming your guys."
Frank Jackson,
and they all take off. Like, like I remember when he said, Ja Morant was gonna win Most Improved, and we're like, come on, he has to be like a top 5 player to win most. And then like, if you look at he's like third, second. Like, are you kidding me? And then another one that was crazy was like Nas Little. Yeah, I guess Gary Trent is there's a lot of Gary Trent lovers, but Nas Little surprised me. when he mentioned Nas Little this season, and then I'm just watching Nas like because I'm in a few 12-team leagues, and I'm streaming him like all the time. Every time I'm adding Nas Little, like fucking Mutombo. so like that's interesting how like you say like he just has his guys and then he just sticks with them, but that's interesting to see. So. Oh yeah, so let's migrate to I guess the tankers. This is where me and Mitch up in here, right? So,
well, I just want to say one thing. I actually am not trying to tank. I traded my pick very early in the season to Blazers, but you know, I learned my lesson, and I'm probably never gonna do that again, because I really thought Wiseman was gonna be back in like December, and I could make as silly as it sounds, like if you look at me in the rankings right now, I'm like 24th. I thought I had a chance to make the playoffs.
I mean, it's not crazy, but I definitely hear you with like the learning curve part. But it's not crazy if you had Wiseman anytime Luka's involved and like Cade, you got a solid like foundation right there for sure to at least like squeak into the 16th spot or something.
Yeah, I actually expected myself to be where the Lakers are right now. You know, a young team with like productive guys. Because I also had like Denny Avdia before I traded him. I had like Beef Stew. So I really thought I had a shot. But then, yeah, everyone hates Beef Stew. I'm just going to put it out there.
Beef Stew.
You love Beef Stew?
Okay, no, I'm sorry. I'm not saying what to Beef Stew. I'm saying what. Okay, I just saw Shea, but I'm saying what to like. How is Lakers this high? Okay. But I just saw Shea. But just imagine that team without Shea, and I was like, yeah. So,
you know what it is, man. You know what it is. It's because he had Jordan Poole when Clay was hurt. He also had Gabe Vincent when Jimmy Butler was nursing his knee every single game, nursing his ankle, general softness. You know,
Damian Lee was hot for a minute. Damian Lee was hot for a second too. I remember that.
Damian Lee definitely was, yeah. Franz, you know, he's balling.
Toppins was pretty hot for a second too. I remember that too. So, okay, so it makes sense now. Now that I think about the history of this season. Even Jaden McDaniel, I don't know when he got him because I originally had him in trade, so I don't know when he got him. But okay, but Franz Wagner is definitely the X factor for this team. That's what's I would say.
Yeah, I think the narratives like pretty much switched between Franz and Sengun. Sengun was going to be the guy, putting up numbers. But it's your Rockets. I don't know what they're doing playing Tice 30 minutes a game.
well, the issue with that, the thing was going on with that is, I mean, just based on what they realized when they play Şengün and Wood together, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't work out right. So they just, the thing that's in Şengün's way is that our best player is playing his position. But I mean that's something on the coach to figure. I can see that leading to like them wanting to trade Wood, especially with what happened this season. So they might have that in the back of their mind, like, all right, yeah, let's get rid of him. But I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. I mean, he's young enough to where they might just hold on to him and see if things work out. So that's why Şengün is getting in the way. I would say this though: if they don't move Christian Wood in the trade deadline, then Şengün is probably going to be like this the rest of the season. Sorry.
This whole draft class, a lot of big men too. How is that going to affect Şengün moving forward?
Yeah, you mean as far as trade value, right?
Trade value and fantasy dynasty value too.
They draft another one, yeah.
But all these big men, they can't pass like Şengün. That's the difference.
Yeah, it's fair.
But overall, I guess since you're talking about that playoff range, I guess when we're talking about where the Lakers is, that's interesting. In the notes here, I do have that the playoff teams are potentially locked in that there is quite a gap between 16 and 17. But
Sure.
We'll see how that one plays out. Especially, I think, didn't Celtics just make a trade for Anthony Simons, I think?
Yeah.
He's about to go ham.
Very controversial topic. Before that trade, I've been, that whole tear with Simons like the last 2-3 weeks. I was hitting up Elton like pretty much every other day, offering him beef stew. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. Like that's the trade you could probably easily do in the off season.
Right,
in the off season. But yeah, continue.
Possibly get more out of beef stew as well.
Right, exactly. You could probably get some rice.
Get a little extra, But yeah, I was definitely a little bit salty. I'm not a huge fan of Keldon Johnson. And the chances are like Elton's gonna bust that pick, bust Brad's pick. So, I'd rather have kept Simons. That's just my opinion. How about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I like Keldon in points league. He's pretty solid at points and salary leagues. So if you have both of those, I think it gives him value. But when you take them both away, which is the court, I mean, he turns into like a Tim Hardaway without the 3-ish kind of player. So
yeah, it's fair.
Pretty much like a worse version of TJ Warren is how I see him.
Yeah, I'll probably go Rui.
Wow. Keldon Johnson hate is strong in this podcast. Wow. Man,
it's crazy how you say wow to his comparison. The vibe was worse.
I mean, I like Keldon Johnson. I'm one of those dudes that's like, I get it. The reason why I like him because Pops loves him. Like Pops is in love with this dude. He brought him to the Olympics. I mean, like his role is going nowhere. No matter what the Spurs do in the offseason, if it's gonna work, and like the kind of like half of a team, like I feel like his role with that team is solid. And I mean, Simons probably is too, but.
So
I don't know.
How I see.
I got burned at Simons in the past because he got hot like a couple years ago, and then I held on to him for too long. So I have a bad taste in my mouth from him.
So yeah, you do have a point. So like what I see Simons is like he's on the verge of a breakout, kind of like I think Fred VanVleet. He was like kind of inconsistent before he went off. Simons learned from the tutelage of Damian Lillard, kind of how you see Fred VanVleet use the same moves as Kyle Lowry. I don't know if you guys have been like monitoring him lately, but I've been watching him very closely because I have him on my FBI.
Simons or Van Vliet?
Yeah,
Simons. Yeah.
No. So Simons is to Mitch what Jock Londell is to Brax.
Yeah, I mean, ever since that trade happened, I traded away Beef Stew. Elton hits me up. He said, "Dude, you traded away Beef Stew to the biggest low baller in the league, like Nick Levin." He was sending me screenshots and everything of how Nick Levin's a low baller. It was just kind of pretty hilarious, But at the end of the day, I'm happy. It's Nick Levin's problem. Beef Stew is not mine anymore, and I'm on that train now that I'm supporting everyone's claims that Beef Stew is a future backup big.
Yeah, and let's keep it there. Backup big. Like let's not act like he's out of the league in 2-3 years.
Dude, the crazy thing to me is how fast, how quickly, and how big people swing from one way or the other on players sometimes, man. Like, I mean, Simons, I get it. The Drew's been crazy. I get to believe, and I definitely he's valued more than Keldon Johnson at this point. But like Beef Stew, and yes, I own him in March Madness, so but in general, dude's 20 years old, right? He in college he played on a team that did not play him or played to his strengths at all. Now he's playing on a trash Detroit Pistons team that didn't have anybody to start the year. Like, Cade wasn't even there. Like, Killian Hayes was running the show. Get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's just me personally, but, like, give the dude a little bit of time. Big men in the league take a second. And he's an undersized big man. So the learning curve is even steeper for them to figure out how to play a little bit. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to be as hyped and as high as like kind of what he was going into the year, like top 60, 70 conversation. I think that's crazy. But top 90, top 100 dynasty asset in a year or two, I don't see that out of the realm at all. Like, he's having a trash season, putting up 1.2 blocks a game. Like, that's not. Yeah. If he gets like 5 more minutes a game, that's a double and 1.5 blocks. Like.
And that's the thing, like it's because of his player profile. That's what gives him that upside of potential ranking. Kind of like a Maxi Kleber. You know what I'm saying? Like when Maxi Kleber gets a good shot, you know what I'm saying? And his game is clean. He has he could give you a lot of sneaky value, and that's what Isaiah Stewart was kind of profiling to be, but. I don't know. So sometimes, like when the issue is that we hype up these young players when they do just a little well, and then
that's true.
And then we put all this stock into them when we draft them, and then we're just kicking this ball like, "Hey, come on, do something!" Right? It's like,
yeah.
But I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm saying not to show my hand too much, but I look for people that are like 22, 23 when they're doing the breakout, and then that's an age to me where it's like it is making more sense for them if they're breaking out at that age to this is what they are, like Simons, like Darius Garland, like Desmond Bain. These dudes are still young, but they're not 20 years old. Like 20-year-olds, you still have no idea. Like they have so much to still learn, but 22, 23, if they're starting to break out, then I'm like, Mo Bamba even is 23. Like, let me attach onto that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because I was always out on. I mean, I'm never like out pre-draft. You know what I'm saying? But I'm out based on how the crowd values people, right? So like, I was out on Isaiah Stewart the minute he was starting, and like people were like kind of touting it up, like kind of shaping him to be like, okay, he's this starter going forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Yeah. Like I get it if you're trying to milk the value while he's in Detroit and they're bad and trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, they're going to be in the lottery next year, probably top 3 potentially, and the top 3 guys are. I know Mitch is so into the draft because he's asking me every day, like, who you looking at today? But yeah, they're all big men. So the top three are big men. So Detroit could easily draft someone on top of him, and
sure.
From there.
At least like the top three big men are all more like power forward, not centers.
Exactly. Yeah. You're right. They're more like wing. Well, I guess Shed is an actual big. I mean, it's not an actual big.
He's like that KP style, though. It's like big man on defense, wing on offense sort of deal going on.
More like a Jin Leon Yi. I'm just playing now.
Deep cut. It's amazing.
But I don't know. Is there anything else you guys wanted to go over in the court before we talk about our last topic or the bubble?
I think the one thing that came to mind for me is the team that's still scary a little bit is Brax's team, the Spurs. Just because his build is like opposite of what a lot of the top teams are, and his team's kind of hurt.
And that's the thing. Like that's something I always looked at the standings and was kind of baffled by. Like, why is Braxton at the 11th seed? But
yeah,
I mean, the obvious answer for that is usually injuries. But
yeah,
Jimmy Butler's been dealing with injuries all season, and I think Rashawn Holmes missed some time, so. That might be the root.
Just forgot how to play basketball.
Yeah, it's Bagley. Bagley Space Jam.
Oh, that's true too.
That's what happened.
You better suck the superpowers out of him. That's true. But yeah, I think it's because Brax is like winning shit like weeks 5-4. And that's not going to make a difference in the standings. You still get a W, but it doesn't show up like that big of a difference in the overall standings. But.
Oh, absolutely, you're right. Because based on his pump build, it's not built to be like first, second seed. Like I'm getting all these 7-2 wins. All my wins are like 5-4. Like I'm
exactly.
You. It's like I'm tapping you out.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I guess if you guys didn't want to talk about anything else in the court. I guess tanking overall. I see Jerome is almost catching up to me. I think this week I'm losing this week. Well, I'm winning this week, but in tanking terms, I'm losing. So I'm losing this week. And it looks like Jerome might pass me. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm just big on keeping those bottom three odds. So
someone keeps calling
Smart.
me. Oh, you're good.
Is that Kase calling you up for a trade? I think that's Kase calling you up for a trade.
We doing it right now? I'm
yeah. What's up? All right. So let's transition into the live negotiation of Jonathan Kuminga. So, I guess quick background is he's been bugging me about Kuminga, and we want to see if we can get a deal done here on live. And so yeah, you said you had some ideas, so go ahead.
Definitely, man. So anyone out of my big three is on the block. So I know you expressed interest in James Wiseman. We can go the route of like Jalen Johnson or Isaiah Jackson, but I know you kind of like those more like one-to-one type of deals, right?
Either 1-to-1 or because the thing about this is we're scarce in roster spots, right? So I'm put it all out there. The stuff that people be trying to hide in their back pocket and not say in like trades, like, oh, I want a 2-for-1. No, I know what you want to do. Like there's scarcity in roster spots. I'm going through the same thing. All right. So if you hit me with a 2-for-1, it has to be something that's undeniable.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not towards Mitch, but that's just towards the history of all these 2-for-1 offers.
Especially this year, man, where there's like so many people with COVID out and all this stuff. Like every team is full, and the free agent waiver wire is like there.
Yeah, and it's like me. I'm a tanking team. Like I need the roster space. I can't do a 2-for-1 really right now. Like I need to draft players. So
yeah.
But overall, but I guess that's my whole thing as far as why I can't take a player lower than Kuminga, because I know it's like I feel like I'm splitting them up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And also just the way I rank his upside. Like I wouldn't give someone like I guess even though Isaiah Jackson has reasonable upside, just that's just because this draft is loaded. Honestly, so like I mean taking that into consideration where Kuminga could potentially be in this draft is also it kind of almost gives me potential all-star vibes maybe, but um I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying perennial, but he might become that type of player where it's like he has like a Siakam type of role where he has like 3 to 4 years of just dominating and having this high value. But
I mean, I completely understand, and the Warriors are my team. I see
yeah,
the potential on a daily basis. But looking at your current squad on the court, I notice you're kind of weak on the center spot, anyways. Besides Bagley, you might need another guy, right? So,
if you have Bagley in a 30-team rebuild, you're not weak at center. You're strong.
right, right. So,
But continue.
I mean, I guess my first offer is going to be linear. Like, do you see a trade 1-for-1 Kuminga for Wiseman?
All right, here's something I was seeing, right? Okay, I think I had something. I came up with something interesting. All right, so no, you don't have. I didn't realize that. I was gonna offer. What was it? Okay, well, my first because I'm the last seed, right? What? I know you said your big three isn't on the table, right? But will my first bring any of those big three out, like Cade?
Cade is definitely not on the block. I'd be more willing to move Luca than Cade, if I'm being honest. What's interesting though, Joy hit me up and he offered his first plus extra for Jalen Suggs.
And Joy is which team? I don't know. You
The
guys flip flop the
Pistons. The
names.
Pistons.
So I got okay. Pistons. He's the Pistons. All right. This whole time I didn't even know.
Of course, he's a Pistons. He's got Giddy.
I know Giddy. Yeah, just search players. Giddy.
Basley too.
Yeah, but I couldn't accept it, without really knowing where that lottery ball is going to land.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
What if he gets screwed and he gets the 6th pick and I give him, he gives me the 6th pick and let's say Claxton, right, his second best player for Suggs. Like, I'm going to regret that trade.
That's true. That's true. So you're right. Like my first has to, I guess, convey to the top. What is it? Top pick or so, top 2 picks or something like that, to see what value it is. I guess. But yeah, that I guess that's something interesting that I thought of to see whether you valued that or not.
I'd be willing to talk next year because I actually really like the 2023 class. Then maybe we could talk like a Suggs deal, Like, what if you get, what's that one kid's name in the G League? It's killing it. Scoot Henderson, right? I'd be willing to move Suggs for that. Or if it's like Wemby, I'd be willing to give up Luca for, the French guy plus, like, let's say you add, I don't know, someone else that you pick. But that's something more down the line. I was thinking more something like a Kuminga deal right now.
But that's the thing. Like, all right. So last season, right before the season started, I had Siakam and Kemba, and I was going to see if I could try to make the playoffs, but I was just like my team was just injured for the most part. So like I was just stuck at like 23rd, 22nd. So I just started tanking, right? So mid-season, last season was my first time trying to tank, right? And Kuminga is like my results of that. So I don't know, especially me when I studied the draft and knowing where Kuminga was valued before the draft actually played out. Like he was looked at as one of those top 5 candidates that could be a superstar. The only issue is he was raw, and it was kind of risky to take a big pick on him if you don't know how to develop him, right? So the minute I saw Warriors draft him, I was like, okay, buddy. If I don't get Şengün, I am so happy getting Kuminga. So Kuminga is like why I'm at peace with the draft for not getting Şengün. So let me tell you this: if you can get Şengün, right, then you could talk to me about Kuminga.
And I don't think I can. That I know Andrew personally. We went to college together. He's sticking with him. So
he's your boy then. Come on, help him get Kuminga.
he won't, man. Okay, let me pitch you this idea.
Go ahead.
James Wiseman, and I'll add 2 seconds. And I know you said from one of our first deals we made that you're from Vegas and you're a betting man. You don't have any other picks in 2022 besides your first. You struck pretty good on your late seconds with Duarte, Bones, Christopher. What's stopping you from getting Elton's second, pick 35, and let's say another Lakers second, like top 40? So Wiseman, 2 good seconds for Kuminga. And Wiseman's on the Warriors too.
I know. But he might not be next week. All right, but
I mean, neither could Kuminga, to be honest.
No, you're right. I mean, but did you see that dunk last night?
Dude. I own Kuminga in another league. Oof. And he passes the eye test times 100, you know?
Come on, exactly. And I guess Wiseman is just a bit more raw. I feel like Kuminga is just a part of him not, learning how to play ball in America. It gave him an awkwardness when you watched him play in the G League or whatever. So that's why people were kind of looking at him like, I saw comparisons all over the place. Like I saw Alfred Aminu somewhere. So some people were throwing like some bust names out there.
I mean, I definitely see like a Siakam in him for sure, because he's got the herky jerky way he moves. You know what I mean? Like he's very hitch step. It's not he doesn't have that smooth flow to him.
An interesting one that I saw kind of constantly was Jaylen Brown. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, watch Jaylen Brown's tape. It was very similar. He was raw." And I just like Kuminga's character and all that. So that's another thing, and that's another thing. Character. That's something we got to consider in these dynasty leagues, right? So Kuminga's character versus Wiseman's character. I mean, but that's the thing.
That's good character too, though.
I mean,
that's fair.
Okay, I thought it was questioned.
Oh no, he's a really good kid. Really good kid.
I mean, but that's the thing. I haven't seen anything in the news from him, anything negative about him. So a lot of that might have just been hate that I saw in the draft process. So, okay, but yeah, that is interesting. All right, let me sleep on that, right? And let me tell you, if you see an offer tomorrow morning, right, then you can accept it.
All right, wait. I'm gonna send you something to sleep over right now, though.
Go
I added a third second.
If you guys want THT thrown in this deal, I'm going to throw him in there. For what? I don't know yet. Tell me.
Man, he's throwing bullets at me. I'm trying to hold on. But bet. All right. That's a fair deal. I'll look at that, right? And then you'll see by midnight. I promise you by midnight, I'll give you an answer.
Midnight.
Yep.
All right.
I got an idea for a future podcast. It's like trade deadline, live trade negotiations. Anybody wants to be on can hop on, do it live, and see what the fuck happens.
No, that's interesting. Like hours before the trade deadline, right? Just hop on this feed. That'll be wild. Hey, that's a great idea, JB. Great idea. But yeah, I mean, other than that, is there anything else anybody else want to add? We're closing in on an hour right here.
I think I'm good. What about you, JB?
Yeah, I'm good too.
It's good. All right, for sure. Yeah. Then, to wrap this up, this is opinions, not facts. Anything you disagree with, leave us a comment, send a message. Always willing to debate and see other perspectives. Next episode will be closer to the trade deadline, like we just said, and we'll see if we can do that episode that JB proposed, as far as everybody getting on here live, trying to get some negotiations going, and then. Yeah, and then we'll have another episode on analysis on all the trades that happen. So yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. And with that being said, thank you for listening to Kase Court Podcast. It's the realest basketball fan alive, Kase, and I'm here with your boy Mitch and JB, and we out.
I've been killing all these suckers where they at, man. Seeing through your cap, cause my vision is a CAT scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man. So I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. Call me Captain, always gotta look for him. Beat so tight, I almost put a hook on it. Verse so fire, I almost put a cook on it. Had this shit jumping, looking like I put a foot on it. Got 100 on the dash when I book Sonic. Only game that I play, got a rook on it. Got to flow so hard that it looks solid. Y'all be cynical, pitiful, read a book, college. Running it, they was putting like Weezy and Baby stunting to Satan. I'm paying nothing to sofa like David Ruffin. All these niggas gossip about, get why they hating them. I ain't singing to these bitches, I leave that shit to Drake and them. Pull up in the all black, but I never was saving them. I was probably just slaying them. Nigga barely was dating them. I can do this till I'm 50 cause I rap with the cars. You gon' quit it when you 30 cause you rap in the car. Swear your shit up a song. I've been killing all these suckers where they at, man. Seeing through your cap, cause my vision is a CAT scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man. So I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. I've been killing all these suckers where they at, man. Seeing through your cap, cause my vision is a CAT scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man. So I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. I've been rolling dolo on them, I don't need me no robbing. So I be running through paper that be thick but no robbing. Man, I grew up in the city where them niggas be robbing. I ain't stressing, I ain't messing with a bird like a robin. Many niggas that can reckless, I approach it with caution. Finessing how I move, but go harder than Rodman. Even at the bottom, I reach up for the top, man. This is how you elevate from worker to the boss, man. I ain't Mike Posner, I ain't posting too often, but I'm trying to run the map from LA out to Boston. Relationship goes, what the hell is she talking? I'm just trying to bang go something like Andy Dalton. Niggas say they ballin', well, how much did it cost? And I ain't talking LA, but these niggas be dodging. Looking for the competition, feeling like I done lost them. Cause it's murder that I wrote, caught a coroner's chalk and don't get lost in the sauce, man. Suckers where they at, man. Seeing through your cap, cause my vision is a CAT scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man. So I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. I've been killing all these suckers where they at, man. Seeing through your cap, cause my vision is a CAT scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man. So I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. 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 Blacking out on the track like I'm Batman.